They had
My age, that thing was hard on me yesterday.
they had a training thing in here the other day when I was
Oh.
here, like for election software, and
Oh.
all of our seats taken, so. Okay, good morning. Welcome to the July 20th meeting of the Board of Riley County Commissioners. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment this morning? Seeing none, we'll go to commission comment. Commissioner, okay, you want, John, you want, okay.
30th.
I was gonna say, I'm not faring any better here.
Let's see, it's right. Oh. Okay, no. This is last week. Oh, here we go. All right, I'm caught up. After a meeting Monday, I went by and talked to Mike Bowler about a question someone asked me about some of the types of stuff hazardous waste can accept. He explained what the rules are. Something I didn't think what they wanted to do was right, but explained it. But while I was there, John Ellerman also came by to discuss with Michael about the county, as the county took over township roads. John's working on get information on that. We all discussed some of the things that it require and some of the questions we had about it. And I left and they were going to go ahead and continue the discussion about how things would work between them if they did that. I had a quiet birthday yesterday, and the big thing was went up to eat last night. That was my celebration.
Good. Thought maybe you stayed out late or something. Sorry, the computer didn't work.
Yeah, no. No, just old brain wasn't getting this thing going.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
Yeah, got my stuff up and running here too. I guess sometimes when you got 10 minutes or so to try to balance that out, it always won't end well sometimes. Okay. Let's see, Monday afternoon, attended the Riley County Law Board, Manhattan City Hall. This is one of our shorter meetings in recent times, an exact 22 minutes.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm not kidding at all. But after everything that we've been through the last couple of months, it's kind of needed. Yeah, so now we got the budget cycle completed. It was just kind of a couple standard things. So did get an update from the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 17, some events and things they're working on. We discussed the agenda for having fall meetings out in the county, Zinedale and Keats. I think we're probably going to use the training facility deal like we did last time in Keats, or Zinedale, excuse me, Keats. We got to check for Wi-Fi capabilities there. That might be one hang up there, but we'll see. But officially, I passed a resolution to allow us to have those meetings. We ended the meeting with a couple of short executive sessions on non-elected personnel and an affirmation of discipline. Did want to point out that Director P was the police chief, and I can't pronounce the city's name in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
The officer was shot and killed.
Oh,
I thought that was the same. I
Yeah.
thought that
He was there for the funeral. He was obviously chief, so he was directed over that individual, and the individual and the family very, very well. So completely tragic. So also Monday afternoon, I met with President Jim Gannon and Harry Watts out of MATC. Wanted to circle back to them on the discussion of their internship and entrepreneurial program. Reason why you're not hearing anything back, Elizabeth, on that is staff is out for the summer.
And
So-
I just got an email Monday.
Okay, well, that was where the conversation
We're
was.
gonna find a
Okay.
date, yeah.
They said they should all be coming back and they've got a good plan, so I'll be looking forward to hearing what all that will. I think that could be really good for
I
us.
think it could be.
I think it'd be,
Yeah.
yeah. There'll be more coming on that. There may be a few tweaks and changes in that, but just looking at some of the new programming and new training opportunities and certifications they have. There's a fit in, I won't say every department here, but
There's quite a few.
quite a few. I think that could be very beneficial. So look forward to hearing from them, look forward to hearing from you on that. And we'll see how that goes. We also discussed a little bit more about their ongoing capital campaign for the campus and what that's going to mean for the college as well. Or maybe I should say, I spent some time reminiscing about the timeline for accreditations, certifications they needed to get to this point. And that goes all the way back when I was on student government there well, we won't mention it, we'll just leave that one alone, but outside of that, it's been a long process, we'll just put it that way. It was really good dialogue. I think we spent about 2 hours there. I think MATC will continue to be a great asset to the region. They have been. It's going to continue that way. So Tuesday afternoon, I attended the monthly board of directors meeting with the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Kind of went through their consent agenda, got an update on financials and membership accounts, and wow, they really got must have a robust plan on membership accounts, so that number continues to grow exponentially, which is good for them. Spent the majority of the time discussing the Beyond Tomorrow downtown plan for the city of Manhattan here. That's growing to be kind of a robust plan, to be honest with you. It's not just now the downtown loop here, it's extending into other areas as well. So be interested to see how that, I think they still have a survey up and online that can be taken to provide some community input. So if you haven't done that, do that. That's just how we know we need to know. Darren Solden spent some time talking about the entrepreneurial ecosystem update, and we'll work with the city on that. So kind of a work in progress. Did get the child care grant from the state, yes. So that just came this week. There's probably a lot of work to do on that and a lot of crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's, but we did get that, and I think that that's exciting.
What's the award on it?
You would ask that.
They're asking for 1.9 or
I think it was 1.2.
Okay.
That's the number that's popping in my head, somewhere around that.
For a
That's in
facility.
cooperation with the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation. So I think they're gonna kind of administer that, and that's for that kind of childcare accelerator.
Like a building?
Incubator, excuse me.
Yeah. is that-
They're gonna partnership with, I think, Ascension Via Christi. They own the property over there where the old, I can't even remember the name of it, the old nursing home that used to be over there, the little, just right off of Kimball there in college. Was that St. Joseph? Okay, I was trying to think of that,
Okay.
yeah. So that's kind of that U-shaped thing that they used to have in there. It was really small, and looked almost like a school-like. Yeah, so
Okay.
something's on in there. I don't know all the details on it. I think we needed to see if we were gonna have the resources to be able to do that,
Yeah.
get to that point, and then, see, which came first, the chicken or the egg, however we want to look at that. So, but that's exciting. I think it's exciting for our area too. It really put something into place. It's a great need. So, and lastly, we did talk about our discussion on the county hours of operation. I'm sure everybody got the email with the letter from the business community with some challenges, concerns on that. I'll just leave that one as it is, because I know that's a conversation we'll have later. And just an update on some other events and things that are taking place here throughout the fall. And of course, this morning also attended the Good Morning Manhattan breakfast event this morning, also hosted by the Chamber of 4 Points. The Parks and Recreation Director for the city, Aaron Stewart, spoke. I've had several different dialogues with Aaron. We went to school together at the same
Oh,
time
you did?
here in Manhattan. So I think having somebody with Manhattan in mind and maybe a little bit of an old school thought in mind might not be the worst thing either, as they have to approach some things a little differently. And then Stephanie Pierce from Hype also gave an update on some things that they were working on, and here we
That's
are.
a good meeting.
Yeah, eggs were good.
Yeah.
Got on the last bit of bacon, so struck out on that one, so that's okay. But yeah, it was good. That's all I've got this morning.
Okay. Okay, well, let's see, Monday afternoon, I set up a meeting with a property owner up in the Keats area to go take a look at with Brian Foster. Then I looked over the GIS in the area to get familiar with the location as a space we hadn't looked at really before. And we set up a time for us for Tuesday. I also met with Anna Burson to discuss the department and appraisal issues, and I'm in strong support of her leadership. Tuesday morning, I met with Brian and property owner up in Keats, and we rode with the owner on his ATV over his property to get an overview and possible locations for a lagoon. Then that afternoon, I met with what I call it now Team Keats in the planning department conference room. We may have to do the same thing with University
Yeah,
Park, but it's been a team project all along. It's been really great working with the departments. Anyway, we met and Brian joined us in a conference call, and we made some plans going forward that will be on the agenda for Monday. So got some good things to share. Tuesday evening, attended the monthly meeting of the Raleigh County Democrats at the Douglas Center. Sydney Carlin spoke about the past legislative session and the bills got passed. She took a lot of questions of funding and other issues, and I spoke with her briefly afterwards on a few issues. Wednesday, caught up on paperwork, emails, phone calls, went over the agenda for today's meeting. And later in the afternoon, I had an appointment with my primary care physician, and I'm just doing normal stuff at home for the evening. So that's it for me. So are we ready for business?
First item is a contract agreement with Everett Construction for Flat Rock Road culvert replacement.
I don't.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to sign and approve the contract from Hebert Construction and the amount of $215,012.82.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve and sign the contract from Everett Construction Company. All in favor? Aye. Finding marathon here.
I think I just broke the printer.
Yeah, it sounds like throwing it over there.
When it breaks, it's
Makes
usually
it out of, well, like it has to be. Fine.
pretty much had a love-hate relationship for 5
I,
years.
I think at some point we need to get a new printer in here. I think it's overstressed.
Next item is a contract agreement with Reese Construction for Union Road culvert replacement.
Thing on that. We moved to sign and approve the contract from Reese Construction Company in the amount of $199,790.16.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract from Reese Construction Company. In the amount of $199,790.16. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's good for me, huh?
It's 9:15.
Okay, so we want to go to Amy. And then get back to the rest of the business. Okay, Amy.
Good morning. Amy
Morning.
Vegas, registered deeds.
I don't know where he's.
Did I pass it?
No, it's
No,
way
it's-
down.
It's page 66 is the page on it.
It's what, I'm sorry.
Somebody put a lot of pages in that document. I'm not sure.
It's page 57.
67, yeah. Oh, okay, that's right. Yes. Oh,
It's not the same one.
isn't the same.
Yeah, the page numbers don't look the same as Zelda.
Whatever.
We're there. All right, the following is a brief summary of our revenue figures through 3 o'clock, Monday, July 17th, with comparable information for 2022. As you can see, our numbers look very different from last year. Indebtedness is down about 369 million. And looking at sales for the same time frame, there were 943 in 22 compared to 649 in 23. To date, our office has reported 4,023 documents versus 5,905 in 22. All of these things affect our revenue figures for recording fees, the various tech funds, and heritage trust, as these fees are collected by page. We filed 18 plats compared to 7 in the same time frame last year. They're mostly still replats of existing lots, creating one lot out of several or maybe two. Staff are still working on rescanning our old books during downtime. We continue to cross-train employees, so functions of the office are covered at all times. Joe and I attended the Register of Deeds seminar in Garden City, June 13th through 16th. Very long, boring drive. And our property fraud alert service saw some updates in July that included an improved website interface, bilingual design and support, and the ability to sign up for text alerts, as well as email and phone call. And tracking our daily revenue loss due to the filing and mortgage registration fee changes, we have lost $392,448 so far this year. Any questions?
So was last year unusually high or this year unusually low? I mean, there's such a huge difference. Which one is?
Sure.
out of-
So, starting with COVID, things just exploded, and we went from like on the high 5,000 to 6,000 documents a year to over 9,000. And so we started trickling off again. We're still higher than typical years. I did run a search from like May 1st to Monday for last year and this year, and we're within 70 documents. So we really picked up starting in May again, but it just hasn't made up for the slow beginning to the year. And it seems like we haven't had a lot of the big commercial transactions this year that we saw last year. So,
Interesting. Yeah, Clancy?
I just wanted to make sure Amy's in the loop on the push that's gonna be made for LAPTR. This kind of documentation of the loss of something that could have supplemented property tax expenses will be critical. KC's getting very active this year. We expect to be working with other counties to not just, smaller number than 105. And the reason we think this is going to be a good year for them is there's an opportunity here to have a fix by restarting LABTR, that the legislature will understand. It provides them a solution to what they've been complaining about the property tax side. The counties can let get some of that revenue back and then use it to reduce property tax. There's an opportunity, there's no guarantee, but this information can be critical, both what you provided in the past. You'll have to figure out a way to present it in a way that's easy to show the prior years. I know that area used to do it. I'll scan it.
I have everything from day one, so.
I know you do, and I appreciate that, but there's a real opportunity for this information to be felt in the upcoming session.
Yeah, I'd give a shout out to your office and your predecessor Debbie on starting with that and continuing. I don't think there's maybe 2 or 3 counties to the state that are actually done with counties in everyone, and they're actually tracking that Saline County might be one of them too.
You know, Rebecca did for the longest time. I don't know if
It's still,
for some reason I'm thinking she stopped in the last year or two, but
well, you can always go back and share a year or two if you needed to, but
sure. And we've always been very conservative. We don't include joint mortgages. We don't include refinances. We don't include anything that seems odd. Odd being, like, I think it was last year or the year before, they filed 3 mortgages in a row for 2 million each on each mobile home park here.
I remember.
It was the exact same amount for each one, which didn't seem correct. I called the company and they said, well, that's for 12 total across the state. So numbers like that, I just completely exclude. They're not in this total.
Yeah.
Don't have to at all.
And that's the kind of thing that in the opening of that document can be really helpful. Very helpful.
Thank you.
Employee action form.
Yeah, Riley County Employee Action Forms.
We're at, back to the business part,
they're all,
which is.
What's the next one?
They're all
And the old date is February 1st.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
think
it's
they're
required.
sorry. Yeah, they're required. So they're all, that's it, basically we're making the records the same. So there were some people that were missed from the fire to HR. And so they have been on, but they haven't been on payroll side. And so some of them, that's okay. Some of them aren't always stipend paid, right? But some of them are, or some. of
These are
them
all
want to be.
separations.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're doing all of that so that they are taking their records and making sure they match our records. So they went through their entire spreadsheet and went through our entire spreadsheet. So some of them are no longer, some of them are, we do it on a regular, about every quarter because they have a lot of movement in fire.
There's the.
Yeah.
And I wondered, 'cause I know first year there were. Ned's requirements, if you haven't been attending the right stuff, you're not considered an active member. I wonder if that was when they cleaned up, just had never gotten it through you.
They do send their letters then, and that's when they get 1 year of kind of probation, and then
Yeah.
the second year, if they don't meet their training requirements, they move off.
Right.
But, they just have a lot of it both ways. So
Oh.
we've definitely missed new hires that they are actively serving, and we have missed people who are separated, and sometimes, they just kind of stop coming, so they don't have an official separation.
Right, yeah. Oh, I know.
So,
That's
yeah.
what I thought, maybe just a year in, or
Yeah.
start of the year cleanup from them. It
Yeah.
Hadn't gone through yet.
We're trying really hard because really we didn't put them into payroll until the year before last. So now we're just trying really hard to have a consistent system, but we get by. Yeah. So the only one that's a new kind of there'll be a change is Bethel. And that's also the only one that's not fire.
Yeah, that's the first one. EMT.
Yeah.
Any other questions? to get started on these four.
Okay.
Was there anything on the minutes?
I didn't have anything.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the July 17th meeting of the Valley County Commission.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the July, what was it, 2017 meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I forget what day it is.
102. That's the predicted temperature Monday afternoon.
Ah,
Okay, the low in Phoenix is good, 97.
well, we're gonna take, have to take,
Let me add another caveat to that, 92% relative humidity. Keep that one, Phoenix.
97 at 4 in the morning. That's when it's-
well, in Arizona, if it's 110, they say, oh, but it's dry. You know,
There's a
still
big difference.
110 degrees.
I've come back from Vegas and I was just talking to Cindy about it. I came back from Vegas 4 years ago around this time and it was 113 there, but it was 92 here and it felt worse here.
Yeah, well, sitting in front of a furnace is dry heat, so.
Yes.
it's not the same thing. Okay, tentative. agendas.
Are we actually gonna make it out there at 2 o'clock?
We're gonna have to take a lot of water and
It says
spice.
approximate.
That's a lawyer term, I got you.
We'll be-
Who's gonna drive? It's Rich isn't, he's gonna drive. the truck.
So I gotta verify what vehicle.
Evans SUV. That's what we have so far.
Which department? it is.
Evan,
Oh, it's-
Public
oh,
Works.
it still is.
We could have him to drive us.
Well, then I guess everyone's gonna have to drive us, huh?
I guess so.
Make it go to a fence.
In 102 degree weather with 90% relative humidity.
Well, just so it has an air conditioner.
Isn't there a rule of thumb that the second person to drive to one of those is responsible for the cooler full of liquids? I'll use that term loosely.
I told Clancy, write something in there saying fence meetings are only allowed March, April, May, September, October.
Summer,
There's a weather, spring and fall, other than that.
The weather clause?
Yeah.
Guess I gave you more than 4. Well, I think you'd have fun driving Cindy.
He defines fun different than you.
sure. Not used
Bouncing
to
around in the
driving a big boat.
country. There you go. Okay. Okay, we did minutes, but we haven't. approved the tentative agendas.
So you don't have to approve them.
No, or just look at them. Anything, you need to add
Let's
anything?
get the 410's discussion on 27th.
No, into August 3rd, I believe.
That was it. Okay.
Then we have,
August 3rd.
So. Executive session time? Okay. I'll go ahead and move the county commission, including chairwoman, Cokie, vice chairman, board, commissioner McKinley, recess into executive session, consider potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Shelley Woodard, deputy county counselor, Craig Cox, deputy county counselor, and Clancy Holman County counselor. Oh boy, we're really in trouble this morning. Attorneys for the commission, you can add that part out. Which should be being privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. With the county commission meeting resuming in the commission chamber at, I'm gonna say, we're going the whole time, it's the whole time.
Did you mention Hannah?
Not yet,
Okay.
we put that at the bottom.
Okay.
And of course, as I mentioned, county appraiser Anna Burson will be present at a portion of this executive session because I have actual information. Bold black letters.
Deputy County Councilor Shelley Wood.
You wanna make sure. You wrote it, I said it.
I did write it. So.
Oh,
Second.
somebody wrote it, I said it.
it's been moved and seconded to recess into executive session until 9:50. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So, either way, you don't want to be legit, whichever. you're right.
Right, thank you. Go ahead then and move that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
Second,
Has moved, been moved and seconded that the Board of County Commissioners come out of the executive session. All in favor? Aye.
And also move that the record reflect actions shall be taken consistent with the consensus reached in the executive session.
oh, second, I'm sorry, I was reading the next thing.
Moved and seconded that action will be taken based on consensus reached in the executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's all I have.
Okay. Shiloh, I think we're ready. Yeah, we're ready for the Shiloh.
Up at the top.
Plus.
It's 100% over.
Right up above where it says 12A.
Oh, I see, right there.
Nope, over one.
Over another. one.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm missing.
Well, and then you can move the
And then you have to move the bottom,
Move
the
the bottom.
sidebar.
bar down.
Very user friendly.
It's another thing that needs to update, we have the technology or something.
Good morning, Shiloh Hager, Riley County Treasurer with the June revenue information. So the month of June, we ended with a balance in the general fund of 28,040,859.06. We did make some pretty large transfers in the month of June. We transferred the remaining CARES dollars that we had left from the original CARES money into CIP, and then the commissioners have also agreed to transfer 3 million into CIP. So that brings the general fund balance within 800,000 or $700,000 of where we were in the general fund at this point in time last year. Our total fund balance at the end of June is 82,654,867.42, which including the current ARPA money is about $6.7 million higher than where we were at this point last year. Our year-to-date interest in the general fund is $1,430,870.76. You can see here our interest rate on the active checking account at the end of June was 5.22%. And we did receive a CD bid in the month of June. Our highest one was 5.31%. I am still working to every month to get our ladder approach back to where we were pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, we had just about $1 million to $1.5 million that was renewing in CDs every month. When the rates went down so low, we were getting as much on the checking account as we were getting CD bids, plus we weren't having banks bid. And so we kind of stopped investing some of those monies. Well, now I'm trying to get those built back up. You know, at the time we were doing this budget, we didn't know what interest rates were going to do. They were still relatively low. And so next year we'll definitely look at, kind of look at that in what the interest rates are doing closer to the time when we're doing, doing those budgets to try to get a little closer. But just know that all of that excess will go into, will just be part of our carryover for the 24 year. The total interest to date on the ARPA funds that are sitting in the bank account are $327,982. So any questions on any of that? So
that interest is in addition to the number, or is that included? The interest on the ARPA money, is that
It's
included in the
in
number?
addition, no, in
It's in
addition,
addition, I got that 14 has been staying the same.
yeah, the 1.4 is just the CDs and the checking accounts, and then the ARPA money is its own,
But that's in addition to the 14 million.
or the 1.4 million, yes.
No,
So are we
going back,
adding, are you adding
going back
that
to
one?
the first page,
Oh, I'm sorry,
the 14 million that's shown in the
Yeah.
ARPA.
Let's see where it's going.
Does that include that?
includes the interest,
That includes the interest?
yes,
Oh,
it does.
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
Because we
Yeah.
have spent some money out of it, and then the interest, I think, is actually just about offset what we spilled it. Yeah.
Exactly, sorry, I was not understanding
Yeah,
what
I know,
what you were.
When we asked that question to Rich of where the interest was going, and he said it was staying within that line item,
It
it
is,
wasn't added
Yeah.
into the other interest bearing accounts.
that is correct, no, we have not, and you are correct, what money that, so far what we've spent has really been offset by the interest that it's been earning.
Okay, that's why.
Why it's maybe important to keep that in there as long as we can, draw as much interest.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so general fund revenues, at the end of June. We had total revenues, after transfers in of 955,955.91. The 12,000 that was transferred in, that was the money from community corrections that they didn't need, so that money got transferred back into the general fund. And year to date, we have collected 90.44% of total budgeted revenues in the general fund. Sales tax, the amount of sales tax that was deposited into Riley County at the end of June is $380,318.97, which is 26.77% over what the amount that we have budgeted for the month. You can see the breakdown, 176,160 was in the general fund, and 204,158 is in the new Road Bridge sales tax. And these represent April sales. Year to date, in just the half cent general fund sales tax. We are. Sorry, I lost my place. 4.29% higher than where we were as of June 22. And like I've said before, this, oh, I didn't bring it, that sheet, that should say the road bridge. That's lower based on the percentage that we're charging. And our sales tax distribution, how it was distributed out amongst the different the cities and the county. Any questions about any of that? And I really don't have much else to report as in the treasurer's office. Things are pretty much status quo right now. We got through second crop taxes. We've gotten delinquent notices sent out. Next thing on the agenda in August will be the real estate publication. And then believe it or not, we'll be wrapping up the tax year and be getting ready to do it all again. I will be out of the office next week. I'll be attending the National Association of County Collectors, Treasurers, and Finance Officers meeting, where I'll be going out as treasurer of the board, and I will be coming in as first vice president. So I will be, and we've actually added another day of classes, so we'll have 3 full days of certification. So
DC,
Austin.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'll be in nice toasty Austin next week.
Them constellations will be nice and toasty here too. so-
Yeah. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlotte.
See you all next month.
Look, Gary, ready?
Good morning, commissioners,
Morning.
and Cindy, acting as Rich today, Clancy. Thought I would bring everybody up to date. Of course, we know there's a small event going on next week in the fair, and we're moving the office out there tomorrow. But I wanted to share with the commissioners where we're at with the task force on the fairgrounds. That's a list of the members. Of course, that has not changed, but I would comment that the attendance has been really good. Almost everyone, it's almost 100% attendance at the meetings that we've had. And I think that shows a positive vibe in that everybody wants to be there and have input in that. We met in June and July. Have another meeting set up with the city of Manhattan on August 16th, and that will be the fourth meeting because we met in May, I think, the first time out at the KSU Foundation office. So the task force has been looking primarily at two big things. One is where to go if we go. Number two, where does the money come from? So the meeting that we have, Jason Smith and Marshall Roselle at the Chamber of Commerce, and Commissioner McKinley was there as well. We talked in more detail about a study that the Chamber had commissioned last year that was finished up in June or July called the JLL study, which is a consulting firm from an outfit somewhere on the East Coast. They were looking at, and this was at the request primarily, I think, of the Call Valley Rodeo Association on an event center kind of thing, indoor arena and all those kinds of things. So they came up with, I think, 3 different plans, and I know that Commissioner McKinley has seen that. I don't remember if I've said that to all the commissioners or not, but that plan, and Clancy was there too. I'm sorry, Clancy. There was like 3 different levels of plans that went all the way from 30 to over $100 million for this facility. But it never went any further than that because they heard K-State was building this indoor arena up at the Stanley Stout Center. And so that study has just been put on hold and has not progressed in any way, shape, or form since then. However, at that meeting that we had, I think there's interest in moving forward with going back to JLL, and the chamber acted like they were interested in, again, funding if there's any additional cost to that, looking at another look at such a facility. But again, the problem becomes, where does it go? Fairmont Park, there's still some concern about floodplain. There's concern about maybe having to put some of the structures on ground that's not in the floodplain, which would mean private property. And in discussions with one of the committee members, with one of the task force members, who suggested that if you look at Manhattan, and we all recognize the areas that we can or cannot move to because of county lines, is to go south on 177. Now, Fairmont Park is in that direction, but I think this person was interested in points further south. So I visited with Wyatt Thompson, who's the assistant city manager, and Aaron Stewart, who's head of Parks and Rec, in my office a few days ago about the possibility of purchase of the county selling their portion of Seco to help fund this deal. They didn't seem to think that was a plausible conclusion or a plausible method of that from one taxing entity to another. So I think those discussions are gonna need to continue. However, they did say they would be willing to cooperate with the county on other things at Seco Park. And I think, I don't know what that all means, but anyway, they're going to present some information at this next meeting. On August 16th, that will be at 7 a.m. at the foundation building up on Kimball Avenue. So the biggest issues continue to be location and the money. You know, Commissioner McKinley, and I think everyone here recognizes that property tax increases are not probably very palatable at this point in time, nor increases in sales tax. Some of our people who have businesses say they're losing some business because sales taxes are too high here. So there's a lot of things we're probably looking at where to go next, but there's a lot of interest. People are very engaged with this procedure, with this process. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but we still have the biggest questions to answer. And so that's kind of where we're at. But one of the things that I thought about is, would the county do and I'm not talking about the commissioners, but would it be sensible to have a countywide survey to say, this is what we're looking at. We're looking for suggestions on how to fund that. We think the JLL study had stated that probably a $40 million influx of outside dollars into Riley County with a center like this, with all the events that would go on. And so it would be some revenue generation with such a facility. So we'll just have to see where this road takes us. We're a long ways from being where we would really like to be, but these things are huge and they take time. So I'd be interested in your comments, your questions. I'm sure I can
Okay.
answer any questions.
I have-
a lot of things I don't know.
That JLL study, you're talking about an event center, is it just an event center? It's nothing else?
So it's
It's
a
a
whole lot.
It's a whole lot more. It's kind
Okay.
of like what the old plan that Dave Lewis always had done
Okay.
years ago.
Okay,
Would include barns, would include hookups for RVs, would include,
which probably couldn't all go in the Seco Park. It would have to go somewhere else.
yeah.
Did they
that's
talk
correct.
about the
County shop area.
county shop area? Okay,
There's, some people think that's a great place and there's some people that don't think that. We really haven't taken a vote on that. The benefits of that are obvious in the fact that we don't have to buy any real estate.
all right.
Paramount Park. One comment was made about the old railroad bridge that's now taken down. Should have left that up because apparently there's going to be possibly some development along the riverfront at some point in time. And so there's no walkover bridge from
Part of that
Your-
downtown plan now. See, here's the challenge with all this. We take a short, simple concept and we morph it into something, components and a whole bunch of other things that wasn't the part of the original intent. And then we get to these kind of spots. I mean, we dream big here and I guess that's okay, but dreaming big also costs big and there's also other things. So for me, this is about fairgrounds and fairgrounds only. What do you guys need to hold the fair? 4-H events, those sort of things, all the other stuff. And once again, I mentioned, and Nancy backed me up on this one if I'm wrong, but sales tax wouldn't be an option for this, even if we could, because the only two options we have there is to go with the statutory things that are allowed to be built for counties. Because we went through this 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know for a fact that these type of facilities aren't on that list. But the secondary thing you can do is you can go to the Kansas legislature and basically beg them or, ask them for support. Reason with them.
Yeah,
How's
right.
that? If you want to put some sarcasm on the back of that.
Yeah, okay.
Reason with them, I guess, to allow us to use sales tax, but I'm just kind of doing the short figures. If you were to go with that entire study and that entire big illustrious plan there, you could take several different cycles of sales tax just to build it up to do that. I mean, just looking at the sales tax number on that 0.2, it's about averaging about 200,000. So you take that times a year, that's about 220,000. Oh, let's just take 200,000, be a little over 2 million, or let's go with the 0.5, because that's probably what you would ask for. So you're getting about $4 million worth of revenue stretched up every year just off of that. And if you do that over the 5 years, you got about $20 million. You're not even there to be able to, I mean, you have to pass basically 2 of those and wait 10 years to do it. Who knows what the cost and the factors are going to be when you get to that point? I mean, I think with all this, you have to be realistic. You know, what's the priority here? You know, is it just fairgrounds and what you need to do fairgrounds? Is it about a larger picture? Do they both coincide? I don't see a path forward on a $30-40 million project here. And just for the record, if we were going to spend $30-40 million if we had it, would that be really our priority at that point in time? I mean,
Well, we've got a lot of priorities, a lot of
Correct.
buildings, but
sometimes
it
don't
is,
prioritize everything. It's just kind of all into one pot. We just, you know,
it is a good revenue generator. It could be even more so.
well, I kind of notice on all these, when we do some of these parks and rec type things, we estimate a return on investment. And we don't take the other things into consideration, like maintenance and upkeep and operations and who's responsible for all that, and apply that to whatever revenue that it may or may not generate. And
Well,
never seem to usually get to those factors and those actual numbers in due time, and that's just is what it
Well,
is.
even that study said the top one that they proposed, they even said that wasn't
Yeah.
feasible. And now with K-State doing theirs, I'm not sure the second was even feasible. So that's why they need to go back and. Because they were saying they wouldn't have all these events here. Well, so does K-State.
Yeah.
So are we gonna be fighting K-State?
So now it's not
Or
just
is it-
private
does
government
everything else?
competition, it's government competition. And that's a whole nother issue at this point in time too.
There's, I think, one of the things that Mike Day, who's the department head for animal sciences, said, he's concerned, he doesn't want that new facility to turn into an event center, if you will. He wants to use it for teaching, education, and recruitment of new students. So his idea of that facility is to be able to host some things, but not
So
be all end all. I think that's part of that deal.
that's the Department of Agriculture's vision for that. Is that the same vision as the investors who are putting the money up to actually build it?
Yes, I think that could be 2 different things.
Yes, I know it is. I just wanted to bring that up.
So I think the other thing, you know, the comment that one of the task force members made early on was, why would we build this new fairgrounds for just a 5-day event? Well, to me, it's not just a 5-day event, because all these other events that are going on at the fairgrounds now would grow and be better and and we could do a lot more things out there if there was an event center. However, remember that one of our options is to stay right where we're at. But if we're gonna do that, I would also add that we need to do some improvements to that. And that may be the less costly option. But there's a lot of things that will end up costing a lot more money than we thought. So anyway, it is what it is right now and where we're at. We'll find out some more from the city on the meeting on the 16th, and hopefully I'll be able to give you another update after that meeting.
I'm just hoping that we keep the discussion on the fairgrounds, and I mentioned this to you before, and that was my same concern about 5 days, but I know being invested in time and energy that, you know, we do a lot of Ottawa Fall with other events, other things that aren't even county or 4-H or
Right.
fair related to, and we certainly want to continue that either there or whatever location we propose to move to. So I get that, and you know, I have to take that into consideration, but large scale thing, I mean, I think we have to look at that one differently, and this part of it isn't really part of that.
Well, keep up the good work.
Keep pounding. And I appreciate your time. thank you for listening.
Thank
If you
you.
have any
Thank you.
questions, comments, I'm always available.
Let's maybe wait till August.
Still after the fair.
Right.
It's fair's over.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
We
you.
talk a lot of your time next week. You got a lot of free time next week.
A lot of free time, yeah, stop in anytime.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday. We talk next week then sometime.
Yeah, next weekend. Thank you.
Okay, it's 10:15, yeah.
Good morning, Kurt Mulder here for the Riley County Police Department update. Director Pete is out of town on a kind of emergency. Had a friend that was injured and or killed in the line of duty, so he's at the funeral today. So update for us, I think if most people know that Captain Woods, Derek Woods, a longtime employee of the police department, including his mom, he retired recently, so that started a series of promotions to encourage to replace him. The director has promoted Lieutenant Mark French to the position of captain. That process, that ceremony will be at the next law board, but it's effective August 1st. He'll be assigned to the jail as the jail commander. And that's important right now because we're hurting for bodies down there. There's a lot of things going on down the jail. The least of where, most of which really is the staffing. We're down, I think it's 13, maybe even 16 right now. And that's well over a third on staff. So he's got a big job there of making some, doing some things to help get and retain. We do have about, I think it's 9 possibly employees, candidates that are looking positive. That's up. That's a good thing. The downside of that is it's difficult to onboard all those and get them all trained too. But we will work through that problem because we need those employees desperately. Yeah.
I have 2 questions in terms of the jail at the moment. What's been kind of the average population at this point in time?
ADP right now is 121. I do that each day, and it's right at 121. We've been obviously, if you know, averages been hovering at 122 and 1 to 118 here each day, but that's higher than it's ever been on a consistent basis. So that's a definite issue.
And just as a secondary question to that, then what's the average stay?
That's hard to calculate. I don't know that off the top of the head because you have pre-trial, post-trial, and those are 2 different things. But I can tell you it's a lot longer. We have people in there that have been there measured in years because of you're on murder charges, more serious ones that the cases keep getting progressed slowly through the courts. So it's much longer, and the clientele that's in there tend to be on much more serious charges and a lot more mental health issues. So a lot of challenges in the jail, and we're not alone. This is true across the country for sure, making our low staffing even worse.
A secondary question on that. See how to phrase this right. Is there any way of estimating or guessing how that population that's waiting in the pre-trial trial kind of phases?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, there's some of them that are just kind of sitting there waiting to basically go through the judicial process, I guess the best way to say it. Is there any way of knowing kind of the length and
No,
how many?
not at all.
I didn't
Yeah,
think-
because not even county attorneys, because it depends on so many factors. The courts being able to schedule hearings.
Wanting to schedule
Defense
hearings?
attorneys wanting to have things extended, prosecutor wanting to have things extended, people switching lawyers. I mean, there's a myriad of things that cause a slowdown in pre-trial activity. And we do have some that have been there for quite a while that we heard. So we contact the county attorney's office, call the attorneys involved and say, hey, don't forget about this person. This is going on here. I'm amazed at the how things are creeping through, and that's not a shame on anyone other than shame on everyone, because it's a long process.
I just think with some of it, you can use some technology, you can use some other things, start working through this and getting it.
I think most of it is pretrial motions.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. technology or anything, other than just activity level of attorneys getting involved and pushing cases through.
Appreciate it. Let's go on.
We're also down 2 cops, 2 dispatchers, but we have again some in the pipeline to hire there, so we're gonna feel pretty good about that on that end of it. We just finished the annual blood drive for the Red Cross, something that's kind of an a national event, battle of the badges, where we compete with other 2 emergency services. This year, RCPD won, MFD won last year, but obviously we know, the community won, the number of units of blood that were donated. It was down this year. The goal was 210 pints. They only received 174, which Red Cross says will serve 408 hospital patients. So that's good, but it wasn't the goal. And I noticed that too. I don't know why. I don't know if just advertising or hype on it was down. I know that we've been busy. The hype on it probably wasn't there like it used to be. And so I just don't think the community was that aware of it. I also know there was a glitch in their scheduling system. When I was getting blood, one of them told me that they had, if you went to sign up for an appointment, there were several spots filled, but it's because they had tested, but then they didn't pull those out, so it looked like they were full, so that probably added to it. Say that.
I think everybody's got new employees and maybe not quite.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
That downside to hiring, I knew.
Right.
Another upcoming event for the police department is Custard with Cops, something new for Special Olympics. It's a fundraiser at Freddy's. It's going to be Wednesday, July 26th from 5 to 9. We'll have officers out there with police department greeting people as they come in, and Freddy's has agreed to donate a percentage of the sales that day to the Special Olympics. So just we're doing 2 of these, or adding an additional one, just because, like everyone, costs are going up, and the cost for Special Olympics has gone up for the Olympians to go, and so they're need more funds. So we're trying to do more to help raise. As you were just talking about the fair coming up, we always have a booth out there right on the corner. We have specialty units that will be out there. One of the really kind of popular ones, believe it or not, is the jail. We bring out a jail van and different things that are used inside the jail, and that's kind of an unknown thing to a lot of people. So I've expressed with the number of people that like to come up and see the stuff from the jail. So that's helpful. Another retirement coming up. Officer Terry Tobolsky is retiring after 20 years. His retirement party is on July 31st. That's from 3 to 5 at the police department. And he's served over 20 years. Great guy. We're gonna miss him, but he's ready for him to move on. He also did a lot of time in the military, so the tail end of that. And then finally, the active violence training we just completed, that was very successful, involved all of our local agencies, MFD, EMS, emergency management, rural fire. We had FBI there, several military folks were there. We did kind of 2 things where the officers, the folks responding to their typical stuff at Amanda Arnold, responding to an active violence call. But in conjunction with that, we did tabletop with the incident command system. So we had a unified command system set up in another room that didn't coincide with what was going downstairs like we did last year. But we actually had instant command where, as things occurred, we set up instant command, and then kind of took over what would happen in the next several hours and days. Went through a process like that. This time we did a just tabletop exercise of unified command with school district, and had different captains from the police department, different leaders from each of those agencies do 3 different days where they walk through the next several hours and days of that kind of event. And I think it was really good for everyone. What I noticed, I monitored a couple of them, was probably for the school district especially. I think it was very helpful to them to have several people go through and just see all the things that will occur after that first 15-20 minutes of chaos. So everyone worked real well together. I think that was a very successful event. Other than that, unless you have questions, that's what I have for you.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
we have Ron at 10:30. For about 5 minutes.
The printer working again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just making some weird noises.
Was it out of paper?
No.
Okay.
It might have been recalibrating or something. Although I'll look here, we might be in the rolling paper too, I'm not sure. I have about 2 stacks of papers, I guess it's 1,000 sheets or whatever. Just to retract.
I'll look in, there should be some in that room at
Oh,
that
that's right.
cabinet. I'll double check and see where we're at.
Sadly, we like to kill trees around here.
Okay, Ron, are you ready?
Yes.
Good morning. Good to see y'all. So I've talked to a couple of you at the breakfast this morning, so. It's for that, yes. That's here that I just wanted to share with you. So just kind of since I was here last time, I thought I'd hit some some highlights and that pamphlet that I handed out was basically the city commission approved an ordinance that regulated placement of political signs on right of way, which the state legislature approved a while back that allows for that to occur. So we set up the provisions where that can occur. We had our candidate orientation with all the city commission candidates, provided them this information as well as other aspects of running. One of the candidates then started their signs out right after the filing deadline,
Yeah.
and we asked them, please retrieve those. You can't review that until 45 days before the election. So anyway, this is a first stab pamphlet because we haven't had that aspect of things, but if that's beneficial for you all, I wouldn't leave it. They have a copy of that.
Conversation
And
come up.
if there's suggestions you think we should make for revisions, we're certainly open to that for the future as well.
You might put in there actually, Ron, that those have to be, I can't remember the distance, 100 feet, 500 feet away from polling place, both in advance and,
We have that.
Yeah, I think it's 100 feet.
I think it is.
So that's what it used to be, you know. So it went from 15 feet back from the curb to 6.
Yeah.
So is that gonna take you, is it gonna be right in the middle of the sidewalks or depending on where it is?
So it's in the public space. There will be places where that's not gonna work because there's not enough, there's not 6 feet between the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Hopefully they can just go ahead and put it on the,
Of course,
we still encourage them that they need permission from the property owner to place those, and so in that case, it would probably be right behind the sidewalk.
Yeah.
A lot of places, or, obviously the avenues and stuff where the sidewalks are well behind, and some of the sidewalks are next to the curb, and
Yeah.
tried to educate them. We told them that if they go online and use the GIS system, the right of way lines are there, they're not perfect, but they're close, and get you within that parameter. Just reminding folks that they can't put signs adjacent to the government properties, as well as along the state highway right of ways, that sort of thing. So just FYI for your information, and yeah, if you have feedback on things we should bring up, we're happy to do it.
For some reason, people like put
What about-
signs up here during election time and we have.
Because it's polling place. What about roundabouts? Is that,
That would, those would be public property.
those are all public property?
They wouldn't be allowed.
And that'd be 6 feet back from the roundabout, or that was just the whole,
So the whole roundabout.
roundabout?
I
isn't it?
suppose there could, I'm aware of a couple of private small circles that people have in an entryway. But if it's in the city's right away, you can't have it there at all. Now, and that question's come up because not all the cities are consistent
Oh.
with this, and I think somebody said in Little Park, they do allow it. On the medians and the right of ways and everywhere.
I saw that last year. when we were up
This,
there.
this is kind of a start, at least from our perspective, and the commission felt like those were reasonable. Don't become distractions to driving. That's always been the
Oh, yeah.
restriction previously, is you want folks to focus on the drive path as opposed to all of the advertising and signs that they might encounter and try to read while they're driving. So
Just point of clarification, this is just for political signs now.
that's correct.
Other business signs don't follow the same guidelines. right?
Right, but they are similar. You can't have, you're not supposed to have any kind of advertising sign in the right of way, either.
Oh.
They tend to show up on weekends in different places when they're hard to get down, but that's kind of.
Well, what about, I know in political, it's usually the state and national candidates who don't follow city rules.
Right.
So how do we?
So this is something we want to evolve for future elections, so that we can contact them and make them aware that these are the rules, and we've never really emphasized it much other than you can't put them in the right way. Now you can put them in the right way because of state statute, so we want to have them to have those guidelines. for how to go about that, but yeah. It's a work in progress, and obviously you all are
Lots of fun.
in that business a lot, more than we are, but we're all both trying to enforce things, so appreciate that.
But you can put the city, but the state, you can't put them in the state right away. I thought that was part of their.
Yeah.
I didn't ever see all the details, but I thought they revised it, saying it's not right away. It's city right of ways, but county,
Yeah,
but not
actually,
theirs. You still
KDOT
have to
has
put it-
asked us to, by all means, please remove them. If you encounter them in state right of way. So I don't know how y'all handle your rural county roads or arterials or how you're doing that. Obviously,
They're not clear what the right of way is. They took one down where mine wasn't the right of way. They took them on because they don't know where the right of way line is.
that's the challenge because it is a standard everywhere, as you know. So that's, and he said, you know, if you have questions, call and ask. Usually the adjacent property owner, who you still need, you still need permission from, has a better idea where that right of way line is. So that's usually what we, so be sure to, don't just go start putting things in the right of way, make sure you got permission. So, thanks for that feedback. Just some other things that have happened, we're working on, with the, Sunset Zoo Trust, hire a consultant to look at the next phase of some development there in some of the African Plains habitat and America's habitat. We also have on the process, we did an RFP for the animal shelter operations. I think I mentioned that to you. This is just for the sheltering services for the shelter itself. We did have one applicant. That's kind of who we expected. There were three that had originally suggested they might be interested. So we're in the process of negotiating with Prairie Paws. We haven't taken that to the commission, but we're getting ready to as far as that recommendation. Again, I just wanted to update that we are certainly honoring the current arrangement where a county resident can bring an animal to the shelter and surrender it, and they're not charged any fees because you all have covered that. But we don't have an agreement in place for ACOs to be able to respond in the county. And we don't have that arrangement with any of the other cities either. And basically the agreements that we have are for shelters versus at the animal shelter. The ACOs, at least in the interim, are staying with the city. They won't be part of the animal shelter as far as those operations, and that's been moved to my office. So we have that. So looking forward to visit with you about that going forward. I know that if we secure that contract with that entity, they'll be reaching out to folks they've had agreements with in the past to renew those and establish that relationship. We did award a construction contract to about 1.4 million T&M construction for some concrete maintenance, street maintenance for primarily that area south of East School. There's several neighborhood areas that's going on. Also a change order for buyer who's working on Browning Avenue there in front of Anthem. We extended some of the work to the south, and then they're working on that portion now. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Commission approved a bison sculpture, so it'll be a bison sculpture in front of the Discovery Center, being funded by the Lake Hills Discovery Center Foundation for that component. So that design is moving forward. We did rezone about a 3-acre tract of land up by the country club. It's near the intersection of Mulligan Place and Meadow Lane. There had been a previous PUD approved for that for some townhomes, about 16 units. There was only 2 duplexes and 1 single family home that was actually constructed as part of that PUD, which was back in the 90s. So the new developer wanted higher density, so they're looking at putting condominiums there, apartments, could be up to 60 units in that particular area. So there's some increased density there. Looking to also, we have a request for proposals out for moving forward on our Seco Park improvements. So I know we were all there this morning. You heard Aaron talk about that a little bit. So really, that's the question that was approved, which looks at the ball fields and additional tennis courts in that particular area. Obviously, it's something we want to work with you all with. It's likely the tennis courts will get into. I don't think they do now. You know, an interlocal agreement with the school district where the current tennis courts are, we're talking about building about 10 courts there, so you get 3 of them. So we may like to encroach on some of the city or the county controlled property as well for that and improve some of the parking, and then obviously the parking lot to the west of the ball diamonds up against Kimball, an area that obviously it's used for a lot of parking. We'd like to work with you to improve that parking and better facilitate not the whole corner, but some of what would help with the improvements. The basic concept, and that'll get worked through in the design, is to put 2 regulation baseball fields and 2 regulation softball fields. And school district would utilize those as well for their events. So more to come on that, but if we were to use and improve, that's something we typically have agreements with you now, interlocal agreements on some of the shared use areas like the pool and some of that parking where it's located on county controlled property. So more to come on that one. You heard Aaron talk about the comprehensive partner rec master plan update that they're working on this morning, and then also we did award almost $500,000 contract to Icon Structures to build a new parking lot down at the Douglas Rec Center and at the Breadbasket. So if you recall, we had kind of a parking lot there. The intent was with the new rec center, we build a better one. The Breadbasket, so the Breadbasket has a ground-free or rent-free lease on that property. They own their building and they have a free use of that property, but they had a freezer right in the middle of that parking lot. And so we're actually getting them a new freezer through community development block grant funds, and we're moving it closer to their door where they service it, which makes that parking lot area a big area that we can utilize and organize. And so we're actually going to double from about 30 spaces to 60 spaces in that space. So that's that'll be a nice improvement for that particular area. We also approved an out of city water service agreement for Stag Hill Golf Club. They're building some additional maintenance buildings, my understanding. We also have a request from some of that frontage property for additional services as well, and that's coming to a future meeting. We did issue 10 million in industrial revenue bonds and property tax abatement for Flint Hills Ventures to construct a 112,000 square foot speculative building. This is at 1105 Kretschmer, so in Pot County, behind McCall. So this is the first building that's taken advantage of the chamber led initiative to build more speculative warehouses because there's a lot of demand for that. A lot of requests they get through the state for economic development is for warehouses. So this is a provision that can give up to 100% property tax abatement for 5 years and can be a partial after that, depending on their performance and jobs created and bringing it together. So we think there could be more. That was just something that the owners who also recall with me felt like that would be beneficial. We did a request for qualification that's out there right now for 10 lots in the Lee Mill Village for a workforce housing component. So this would be something that we believe would be a moderate income housing application ultimately to the state of Kansas. You might recall this is a tract that the city purchased at a tax sale. Well, your tax sale was about a little over a decade ago. We had some townhomes that were developed, and then they stopped paying taxes. That developer left, and we purchased that. That's where the earlier, I think this year, there was an open house for the senior housing duplex with the Chodo that sponsored that, and so that's been successful. We also had a private group that did a little cul-de-sac with duplexes. There's another area for that, and then there's some lots at the north end that are a little bit more challenging to work with from a grade standpoint. So we'll see what we get, but that's hopefully we can put those 10 back on the tax rolls and make that more productive. we, some of the work sessions we've had, I don't know if you've been following, but we're developing a master plan for the cemeteries. So both Sunset and Sunrise cemeteries and looking at how they might be utilized in the future and the cemetery shops there on Sunset and they're inadequate and old and the house itself and how it's utilized. And then out at Sunrise, most of talking about bringing some different types of development into Sunset and creating some mausoleum type concepts for cremations, which we can fit in different areas and still, otherwise Sunset's been sold out forever. It's not full of burials. There's a lot of burials there, folks that own lots, but there's no other lots available. It's obviously unique. And so we could build some of these improvements. Fort Riley, for the cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery has some really nice ones as well. And we built some at Sunset or Sunrise, and they've been very popular as well. So you might just stay tuned about those master plans and how those impact things. It's one of those obligations that the city has to continue to maintain those cemeteries. So that's some different challenges that we have in providing that. Providing those services. The other thing, of course, we've been working on the budget. We did hire ahead of RFQ selection process and hired Stantec along with BBN. What we're calling the East Gateway comprehensive plan update. So we've decided to create a East Gateway is the US 24 corridor. Looking at that Green Valley area for all kinds of land use, infrastructure, all kinds of services. And so that's a really focused aspect. We're also looking at the Hall Triangle as part of that. You know, that's an area that was our industrial park. You know, Walmart did their new building and it suddenly became much more retail oriented. Everybody wants to be near a big Walmart. So a lot of that area transition could be much more commercial. And so those are, so how do we, what's the future of that area look like? Obviously it's mostly built out, although there is some aspects of that. And then what's the future of that Green Valley corridor with 24 and everything else? So we anticipate that'll be a 14-month process probably.
And you're taking traffic and traffic flows. into
Yep,
account
all
with
that
that too?
stormwater traffic, all that infrastructure.
Okay, good.
Yep, and you know, try to where and when might be the best for secondary access. It's gonna look at all. It's about a $500,000 contract that we're envisioning there. So a lot of opportunity for community involvement, and doesn't impact you, but obviously you're adjacent and would be interested in where some of those tie-ins would occur for sure. We also hired Benesh and their folks to do a study on Sunset Avenue between Anderson and Claflin. So it's a corridor that we have undersized water lines and old water lines. So that's utilities is primarily driving as well as stormwater, but it will likely be almost a complete rebuild between the components because all the water lines are under. There's tons of underground private utilities along that corridor. So that's one that you'll be probably hearing about as well. Awarded $812,000 contract to Walters Morgan construction for some improvements to our clarifying basins out of the wastewater treatment plant. Working with our finished water, we have when it gets hot, just like we have algae buildup along that perimeter. And so in order to control that, we create these little hoods that go up and protect that screen to keep that algae, because controlling that algae is challenging with finished water. So and not impacting chemically or otherwise. So that was a big improvement in order for us to meet some of our regulatory requirements before the water goes into the river. We did engage with a legal expert on image and likeness and copyright. To try to settle that Johnny Call issue once and for all, and they did, you might have read about that, they did come back and say, John, there is nobody that in their discovery that has a claim to Johnny Call, and so it was built in the public domain, so it's, for anybody who wants to use it and build it, they can. We did, take a stab at looking at some of our we get a lot of requests for some of our logos, and flag use, that kind of thing, so we have a preliminary policy relative to how we might regulate those, the public's use or private uses of those components as well. We did pass a resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate. The 2023 rate was 52.154, and our revenue neutral rate is 50.4. So the commission wanted us to try and get down to an overall 6% increase in valuation of total valuation of Riley and Pot inside the city. So that's kind of where we're at. Obviously, that's a ceiling for us now, and the bulk of that is about 1.9 million in new revenue, and about 1.1 million of that is the RCPD. About 600,000 to the city general fund, or interest fund, and the rest of the library. So that's where we're at right now. Obviously, we've got a ways to go on that. Several work sessions to review there as well. The other thing, probably the big thing, was this past Tuesday, the commission agreed to contract with Ebert Construction. So I believe you're aware, I was talking to John, and KDOT originally was planning to build roundabouts on US 24 at 113 and 13 next year. They moved that to 25, and so when they originally said they were going to build 24, we were delaying the last big phase of our Kimball and Denison project to mainly come after that. Well, now that they've delayed it, we're rushing to get that done because we don't want construction on both of those at the same time. So our goal is to try and get those improvements done to that intersection. So to start with, then we visited with K-State and the folks at MBAF and other areas, and Ebert's already up there finishing the phase, that middle phase where the reverse frontage road from College back to Green Science. So plan is to continue that back reverse frontage road from Green Science to Denison. So this is the contract, about $1 million of that, most of that stormwater. The other thing we're doing is we're capturing about 20 acres from the south side of Kimball and taking that to the new detention ponds under construction. Those two detention ponds are both going to have a 500-year retention capacity in a storm, which will really help the Marlette drainage component. So we're very pleased with K-State that they're helping to construct those. Those will be dry detention structures, but that's a lot of that stormwater. And then the other component is to go ahead and build that north leg of that Denison and Kimball intersection. So it's 7 lanes wide at the intersection. It'll be the biggest intersection in town. There's 2 lefts, 2 throughs, and 1 right on each side. So
Does that mean you're gonna finish the last section of Kimball along with that? or-
yes, so the goal is we're doing this piece of it now.
Okay.
The rest is completing design. We'll be out to bid this year for the last stretch of Kimball, the intersection itself, and then Denison South. MBAF has to have access, that's
Sure.
to their Denison exit, so we'll do it half and half. We'll split that south leg into 2 different phases, and it probably will go to the 25 because there's just not enough time to do that. But the goal is that we'll put that out to bid. K-State and folks, we're going to keep that intersection and Kimball open during football. As soon as football is over, we hope to award a contract and shut down that leg even during the spring of the rest of Kimball between Grain Science and the intersection, but keep the intersection open and then do the intersection in the summer. So that's kind of the goal. That's a lot of quickness, and then Denison South would be built after that, whenever it works. But it's one of the busiest intersections, especially for delivery and other aspects. So that was the recent action, and certainly More to come on that particular one, and just some quick updates, other construction contracts. I mentioned Browning in front of Anthony. From the rec center entrance north is complete. They're doing some work now south to that southern intersection at Snowbird, and doing some work there, and they plan to have that complete by school starting. Kimball and Graymere Parkway, that grading work is done. They should start paving that here in the next 2 weeks, and plan to have that open the first week of August. So you'll have 2 lanes of traffic, not 4 lanes, but you'll have 2 lanes of a temporary roadway from Grandmere and then Kimball through. And we plan to take the detour now. May come back with game day traffic to put some boards up and say, you know, you're gonna get there faster if you just stay on Fort Riley Boulevard and take that child to Kimball versus trying to come across scenic. So anyway, that's kind of the plan for that. It is proceeding well. A couple other projects is College Heights and Denison. So Denison, we're rebuilding what was a very small and old water line between Denison and Sunset on College Heights. That was driving that, but we're redoing the roadway. They've got the intersection pretty much redo. Actually, it's open to northbound, southbound's closed. We had a situation, so we put some color red stamped crosswalks in there at that intersection, like we have in others, and all of a sudden, red concrete dye became unavailable. So you'll see those cuts out for those sidewalks. Otherwise, that should be open. I think they'll be able to get that done. But parts of College Heights continue to be under construction during that block. We're also Fremont at there. It's north end of City Park between 11th and 12th. The contractor is waiting on some rebar pins to pin everything to the curb and gutter it's in, and then together the panels that they pour. So they're ready to pour, they're just waiting on some supplies. So after that gets poured, we'll open Fremont from 11th to 12th. 12th Street will be the access, and then they'll move to the next block section. So remember, we're upgrading, we're replacing and adding a water line for capacity purposes, that whole length. And then there's we got an ATA grant to do some ride share improvements along that corridor right there at Manhattan City Park on Fremont. So that's that will continue really throughout the year, and probably some into next year, because we're just doing a block at a time. So there's at least 2 accesses open. The Larrabee Street there at the Chandler property across from Burger King, that's almost complete, so that should be fully open soon. We are doing some work there at Little Moro behind Good Sense and Rally House, building that alleyway, and it's affected parking on Little Moro, but it's open to traffic. So we do have a project out to bid on Bluemont to replace the flashing yellow crosswalks with signals, and that's on the street now. Actually, we did have a bid, and it's going to be awarded in September. So Beaver got that one, and we're partnering with the university because they're going to do some improvements on campus with that, and then that bike share gets extended another block. So a lot more to come in that one. We're waiting on some signal equipment. We have the signals for US 24 and Levy. The poles are up. But some components of the computer system that runs it is back ordered. We've been told 2 weeks in a row it'll be here by the end of the week. We'll see. And then kind of the other component there at Juliet and Points. We're hoping to have that before school starts. Again, we're waiting. We had decorative signals to match the ones we have downtown, and they're taking a little bit longer. My understanding is it's a similar computer component block on that. So I think that's all I had.
Airport.
Just
Airport, it's a little bit behind. You know, one of the things on the crosswind runway, we did have to fully, for the main runway, we're pulverizing in place, which really helped us with the weather. The crosswind did have some tie-in elimination because we had to ramp them up, so some of that base got soggy and they had to get it dried out. They're back on course. All the pavements poured, they're just working on the lights and the edges. And I think the crosswind runway should open here in a week to 10 days, roughly. And then they're put on an extra crew to try and stay on that September 1 deadline for the full run.
I see it most generally every day out my way there.
Yeah.
I feel
Very pleased with the contract.
I feel real sorry for him next week in the conditions, but we appreciate it.
On
Very good.
Juliet and points, it works better with stop signs than with stoplight. It seriously.
Depending on time of day, I mean, just coming down here, there's this big four-wheeler that inched out and had to wait
I know,
longer.
The only problem I've seen coming from the north on, if there's parking on points.
Yeah.
To the
Can't see as well.
right, then you can't see. Other than that, most of the time, it's a lot easier to get.
The
through
bigger
without
issue is likely gonna
stop.
be the need for the crosswalk control
Well,
at school,
yeah.
sorry, because kids walking to Woodrow Wilson.
Oh,
And that's, and then just, we want people to slow down coming into downtown. That's why we went from 4 lanes to 2 to begin with, and without that signal, most of them are continuing to go very fast. We did put that mid-block crossing. I don't disagree with you. We've had a lot of folks that are going this way, who love it, and folks going this
well, I'm
way,
going
no.
cross it up on Juliet. It's quicker than waiting on a stoplight.
Sure.
I've got just one more,
Yeah, we're,
Hayes Drive.
Hayes Drive. So originally, that project was scheduled to be through the fall. So I think
It's
end of
on
October roughly.
Early November.
Yeah, it's kind of a hope for that. We are doing some concrete repair work on casement, obviously. It's taking it better. And then Schilling is under contract to do a 2-inch mill and overlay on the asphalt portion of casement. Yet this year, as soon as we can get it back in town.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Thanks so much.
thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we're running a little behind, but Bob, you're here.
Bob will speak.
We're not that far behind.
Morning, folks. Les Isom has made application with Rutherford County Planning and Development requesting to replat lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Blue River Hill Second Edition, combining the lots into one. The subject site is generally located approximately 180 feet west of Blue Ridge Road on the southwest and north sides of Fawn Road. The property was originally platted as lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Blue River Hills Second Edition in July 1965. And later zoned residential during the 1974 zoning conversion process. A small accessory structure currently occupies existing lot 5. And the applicant wishes to combine the aforementioned lots into single lot in order to build up residence. There is not a request or requirement to rezone the property at this time. Speaking of zoning, the property has been zoned residential since it was zoned A1 single family residential again in 1974. There are no variances, conditional uses, or special uses associated with the property. Riley County Fire District Number 1 will continue to serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the Blue River Hills Fire Station located at 6100 Bob White Lane. The subject site is located within 5 road miles of the fire station. This is the final plat illustrating the new orientation and location of the lot's boundaries. The proposed lot will be served by rural water and an on-site alternative septic system. Any new entrances onto Fawn Road will require approval by the township. few pictures of the site. This is looking southwest from the south right of way line of Fallen Road. And as you can see, the site is already developed with mixed accessory structure. Panning to my right and a bit more to the west, you can see where the applicant has cleared the site for construction of a home. The applicant will need to secure a building permit prior to building the home, so. And this is looking west directly down the center of Fawn Road. Note that no portion of Fawn Road is being vacated by this request. The applicant was unable to obtain all of the lots that front the street. Thus, it was decided that the right of way should stay in place until such time all lots were obtained. The cedar tree in the center of the pit is actually the center of the gold stack. That's right here. I think the applicant like that place for Christmas.
That's a nice tree.
Finally, this is looking northwesterly across the overgrown existing lots 9 and 10. He intends to clear those as well. On July 10th, the Riley County Planning Board approved the final plat of Blue River Hills Edition Unit 7, making a finding that the proposed request is consistent with the Riley County Land Development Regulations and Sanitary Code. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners acknowledge the approved final plat of Blue River Hills Edition Unit 7, except any easements, rights of way, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat. That's all I have. It's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions for me, I feel it.
And where on this map is the residence gonna be located, did they say? Can't quite figure it all out.
Right about here.
Right about in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you, going up here, you can kind of see,
Right in,
yeah,
Okay.
here's the accessory shed, so it's right over next to it. From that, you can see the edge here. He's got this area cleared out over here. Or that, well, actually, it's right here. There it is. Here's the actual roadway. It was never improved, by the way. This is where he's got this leveled out for a bit. And he's, again, he has it staked out. He has to be 25 foot off the right of way and so on.
Okay.
And he stopped by today to pick up an application to build. So when he'll be ready to go when the bike gets stopped.
yeah, he's a contractor, so it's. You know, he's doing, he's been
Yeah,
working
yes.
for a long time, but,
Yeah, but some work on the end station.
yeah, the, Blue Ridge Road, where is that in relation to,
There's
say,
Blue Ridge Road. That's the main road that goes through Blue River Hills. This is right here.
It's right off with the,
right off of,
Here's Fawn Road right here. Here's Blue Ridge Road right here.
was it Barnes Road there?
oh, Barnes, right, okay, that's this down here's Barnes.
Go up to.
River Hills Road.
Here, you can kind of see here.
Yeah, there.
Oh, there, okay.
Road, Blue Ridge Road kind of goes main all the way through. And all, here's Fawn Road, right? As soon as you go into Blue River Hills, it'll be on your first lap. Yeah, that's kind of where it's located.
Okay. Nice location. Yeah, they live out of, they did live out of Stockdale. That was quite a move. I don't have any problems.
That's good.
I make a motion to approve resolution 072023 acknowledging the approved final plat of Blue River Hills Edition Unit 7. And accepting easements, rights of ways, or licensures as shown to be dedicated on the final plat. As it was determined that all the requirements of the Valley County Land Development Regulation and Sanitary Code have been met.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 072023 as presented. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, folks. And we have a Mylar here for your signature. I need that first.
He's a really good trim carpenter. You can get him.
That's what he's got for the ambulance station.
He used to do all my kitchens.
Oh, did he? Somebody told me that he was. We got the right guy there.
Yeah, he's real. He's on his own, but he's worked a lot for Schultz.
So,
We'll get through the maze of these chairs. Yeah.
I know. Okay. These are for next week.
Oh, awesome.
If you want them right now, but I knew you were down here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Only do so much. No. Okay. Oh.
Julie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Move over to the front.
Oh, Yeah, what's that?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess we need to,
Move to be recess as Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of Get Health.
my brain just stopped right now. I swear.
you want to second it?
I'll go ahead and second it, yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we recess as the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as the Board of County Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good morning. Julie Gibbs with the Health Department. Here's my monthly update. So I'm going to shorten this to allow some time for Asia, our community health educator, to give a little presentation on what she's accomplished so far with her grant, which is almost the end of that grant year. But as per usual, I'm going to start with the budget to actual that Shelley's provided for you, as you can see here. I don't have a slide this time on explanations just because it never changes. So unless something changes, then I'll add that in. But otherwise, it's always usually due to the grant reimbursement base.
Anything usually different, maybe in July with the kind of the state budget schedule being July 1st and how those grants work? Anything different? than that?
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
That'd be like January, July, and that would be really the only shift, wouldn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, so but we can, yeah. Go on to my program updates. So starting with maternal and child health, MCH held all 6 Becoming a Mom classes on Thursdays in June with a total of 66 participants. And Spanish speaking class held in June with 6 participants. The infant cues and postpartum breastfeeding essentials are classes in the Becoming a Family series. That was held in June with 11 participants. The fiscal year 24 MCH aid to local grant application and budget were approved. We did get notification from the state a couple weeks ago. And the fiscal year 23 MCH aid to local January through June progress report was submitted last week by Breva and her staff. As you recall, on June 3rd, MCH held their 2nd annual community baby shower. It was very well attended with over 125 individuals in the community attending. We also had some partner agencies, including Women's Health Group, Parents, Teachers, Perinatal Mental Health Therapists, Infant Toddler Services, just to name a few who participated in that baby shower. The CBS executive summary reported that 91% of participants were very satisfied with this event. And this year's community baby shower was funded by the grant through Greater Manhattan Community Foundation. So they provided 90 safe sleep bundles. They were able to provide funding for marketing the event and provided water and fruit cups to all the participants. So we'll continue to make this an annual event every June. These are numbers from Jacob from the clinic. For the month of June, they saw 328 total immunizations over 273 patients. This is up from last month. They had 172 family planning visits for a total of 529 appointments in June, and that's up by 52 from May. They do have an upcoming event they're planning for Everybody Counts in August. That's on August 5th this year at the Douglas Center. This is a yearly event, and every year we do participate in some capacity. So this year the clinic will be participating in providing HPV vaccinations as well as COVID vaccinations, and they'll also be available to print out vaccination records, which is a request that we get a lot from parents. So they'll be available for that. Lastly, I wanted to share with you all a part of an email I received from Jenny McDonald, who's the Family Planning and Reproductive Health Program Manager with KDHE. I just received this on Tuesday, so I didn't have time to put it in my presentation. Jenny wanted to share with me that while attending the National Title X Grantee Conference, that Riley County and KDHE were congratulated for our clinic's amazing work doing outreach with the LGBTQ community in Riley County. Admiral Rachel Levine, she's the 17th Health Secretary for the United States. She did a keynote speech on the final day of the conference and specifically called out Riley County's efforts and the amazing impact of that outreach. She said our outreach efforts created such an increase in male clients that the entire state percentage of male clients increased to a point where federal reviewer thought that she had made a data error when uploading the data. She ended by saying your work is important, noticed, and so appreciative. You've been wonderful allies for your community and for KDHE. Thank you for everything that you do. So this is one of those messages that I certainly like to get, especially when it comes from KDHE. So I just wanted to share that and share with you the important work that our clinic is doing. Childcare licensing, they are currently working on 6 complaints. Knock on wood, this is down from what we typically see. We're back in the single digits, so that's good.
They're currently working on 10 initials. CCL took part in the Riley County and Dickinson County baby showers last month. Anna, one of their surveyors, presented at the babysitting clinic for Hawk County Extension Office, and it was a very successful event. CCL has been attending the KDHE webinars where they are presenting a very rough draft of new potential regulations for providers. And this is a facility visit chart for the month of June, as Heather usually provides. There were a total of 36 visits last month between the 5 counties. Continuing on, this is another chart that Heather always provides. This is a facility report for this current month of July. As of right now, we are down 1 provider in both Riley and Geary County for a decrease of 2 daycares in the region. And as you know, this fluctuates every month. Raising Riley has been very busy, especially with their outreach. Chelsea and Beth are working with KANZA and MART. MART is another acronym that stands for Manhattan Area Refugee Team. And they're developing a basic first aid class based on the book, What to Do When My Child Gets Sick, for families that are not English language speakers. So KANZA and MART are organizing the participants and translating services to teach in their language. On June 3rd, they were part of the baby shower that took place at the Family and Child Resource Center. They provided families with an opportunity to sign up for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. They had 82 adults and 10 children visit their booth. And on June 24th, Chelsea taught a free CPR and first aid class for 12 childcare providers. They just wrapped up their Circle of Security parenting sessions, which wrapped up on the 24th of June. They had 4 parents and 1 child attend every session, and participants did receive a book upon completing the program. They also hosted their monthly parent book club, which was hosted on June 27th. They read the book Thrivers by Michelle Borba. They provided books to all parents who attended. There were 5 parents and 5 kids who attended that. They also made some story time facility visits. They visited Camp Kindergarten a total of 32 times, 11 visits to family child care centers, and 3 visits to other centers, including 9 classrooms, for a total of 46 in the month of June. They also provided some individualized literacy support. They had 4 visits with that. Every month they have a provider support group. They held this on June 25th, and they had only 3 providers attend this time. And then we just wrapped up Camp Kindergarten, which is something we do every June in collaboration with USD 383. They did have 40 children that went through Camp Kindergarten. They provided transportation for 30 of those 40, and they provided 80 total child assessments. And as far as WIC, they are up in their caseload. They provided or completed 335 certifications in June. They currently have a total of 2,616 clients, and this is a record high. They've never seen this amount of clients in years. This is up definitely compared to last year at this time with only 2,300 clients. Staff has been busy with outreach events. They've been at Power Produce every Saturday morning at the farmers market. They attended St. Mary's 4th of July event. They've met with early learning community staff, and they attended the 2nd annual diaper drive hosted by Rock House Bar in Ogden a few weeks ago. Also, the Pink Bus visited them at Flint Hills Mother's Milk Depot. They picked up donated breast milk to take to the Oklahoma Mother's Milk Bank. So this is a partnership that we developed with them last year, and so far it's going very well. Then last but not least, I have a PEP update. So public health emergency preparedness. We discontinued our COVID testing. Our last day was on July 10th. It had been about 2 weeks since we even had anyone that was interested that had reached out. So due to low demand, we went ahead and discontinued that. We will plan to maintain our scheduling website so that it's up and ready anytime that we need to host another event or vaccination event. Hopefully we don't have to do that anytime soon. And the trailer has been relocated to Public Works.
Are we keeping at least some tests on hand in
Yeah.
the fall? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we might continue to get those in. They do expire at some
Yeah.
point. So the ones that we have on hand do expire, but we'll probably continue to get those as needed, so. We will continue to expand our medical reserve corps. We currently have 20 trained volunteers. We hope to utilize those volunteers for community outreach and train them in case of a disaster emergency in the region. Also, Skylar is participating in some community outreach. She has some events coming up, including the Pet Palooza in City Park, which she attended last year. This is happening on August 19th. So she will be there to give out information on zoonotic diseases that can be transmitted to humans. They'll also educate on pet preparedness and general health department services. And that is all I have for my presentation. Any questions on that? I have two out-of-state requests, both from the WIC department. The first one is for the Breastfeeding Babies Natural Choice Conference in Nebraska. Kayla would like to send 3 of her staff to this on August 30th. They have not been able to attend this conference since the pandemic. And this is a great opportunity to review current research and practices regarding breastfeeding complications, physical therapy interventions, maternal depression, and trauma-informed lactation care. So the WIC funds will cover this at 100%. Will cover each individual going to this conference. And again, she'd like to send 3 of her staff to be able to attend this conference. Any questions on this one?
We probably need to do the separate.
I feel bad for them. You have to go to Nebraska to do this.
I
LaVista.
know.
Where is La Vista? Does it-
It's an Omaha suburb.
Oh, is it?
South of Omaha, on the south end.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it's at.
I think that's where-
Probably gonna say it's right out in the middle of nowhere, which is pretty much the rest of the state.
Well, you got Lincoln.
True, but Lincoln's only like 45 minutes south. of Omaha.
Yeah. Close.
Okay, I made a move to approve the out-of-state travel for 3 WIC staff to attend the breastfeeding conference in Nebraska on August 30th, 2023.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to approve the out-of-state travel for 3 WIC staff to attend a conference in Nebraska in August. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's one. Oh, goodness. Okay. We want to go on, we can.
The next one is another out-of-state travel through the WIC department. This one's a little bit more exciting in a little bit more exciting place. It's the National WIC Association Technology Innovation and Vendor Management Conference in Portland, Oregon in September. Caitlin herself would like to attend, as well as Becca Potvin, one of the dietitians. There are 5 tracks available to attend, so by sending 2 staff, this would allow for attendance at more of a variety of tracks and more opportunity for networking. And this again is covered 100% through WIC funds. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, okay. I make a motion then to approve the out-of-state travel request for 2 WIC employees to attend the NWA with Technology Innovation and Vendors Management Conference in Oregon in September.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the travel for 2 WIC employees to attend conference in Oregon in September. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Don't have as many there. I'll be signing all day.
All right, how are you all doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. My name is Asia Sampson. I'm a community health educator that works with the Raleigh County Health Department. I'm here to tell you guys a little bit about what I've been doing over the past 7 months of my work. Currently, I work under the OD2A or Overdose to Action grant that use surveillance such as morbidity data or mortality data to find prevention measures that can link individuals to care, empower individuals, and also public partnerships. So what we did at the start of my employment was to target a population within the Wildcat region. And when I say Wildcat region, I mean Pottawatomie County, Raleigh County, and Geary County. We wanted to primarily target youth populations, so teens and within schools or high schools, through health class presentations and assembly meetings. So with this, with the start of a new program, a lot of advertisement has to be done. So we collaborated with the PIO, Vivian, and she helped us to get linked with some podcasts and also news networks that were allowing us to use some advertisement to be able to advertise the service. So here is a picture of us, me and Julie going on to WIBW, and also we got on a Hills Volunteer Center Suicide Awareness podcast earlier this year. Also, we created a flyer that we passed out or sent out to high schools. 4 of the high schools that contact us were Junction City High, the Manhattan High School, Raleigh County High School, and then another high school also. I'm not sure. Yes, Rockford. And this was the flyer that I used to promote this program. So with populations that we served with this presentation in the program, we were able to reach out to 789 high school students within the Wildcat region. About 50 members of the Manhattan Optimist Club were also presented to. The Randolph Seniors population was also presented to, and that was 30 individuals. I also was able to speak with the House Cafe. I don't know if you guys are aware of this organization, but it's a nonprofit organization out of Ogden, Kansas. 15 individuals were there. It was teens as well as their parents who came to see the presentation. I also was able to present at the CCMFOA Spring Conference. About 75 individuals were there, totaling at about 959 individuals presented to. Next, I'm going to talk to you about some key points that I cover with the presentations. So first, I'd like to talk to youth and members of the community about how the epidemic of opioids started. We talk about how it started with the simple misunderstanding of how it was promoted to individuals in the population. So unfortunately, they were able to understand a little bit how that started, and it actually started with misinformation. We also talk about Narcan and what that's used for. We talk about how Narcan came about, and even students were able to see how it's affecting, our population now. Now we're being able to see Narcan over the counter. So they were able to take what they learned from the presentation and watch the news and find out a little bit about that. We also talked about medication storage and how important that is, especially with, parents and having medications, or even as they're going into college and taking things for simple surgeries such as wisdom teeth removal. We also talk about medication disposal, and this is the TerraVac system that we talk about, and that's a simple system where you can throw your old medication in and get rid of it in a safe way. Lastly, I talked to students about prevention measures, such as building healthy relationships within the home and within their peers, peer groups, and how that's important also with making good choices to benefit their lifestyles. So as I mentioned before, I attended the CCMFOA Spring Conference. That was a highly attended presentation. There were 75 in attendance. Unfortunately, there was only seating for 30 individuals, so a lot of people had to sit on the floor. But I was able to receive this highly attended session certificate. And members in attendance were also able to receive some CE credits for that presentation. I don't know if you guys have heard over the radio or in the news, but we did a film event here at the Manhattan AMC theaters. There were about 30 individuals in attendance, and with this film, there's an individual named Chris Herron, who is a former NBA basketball player. and he goes into high schools and gives presentations similar to me. But teens are able to listen to him probably more because he's a former basketball player. He also talks about his individual struggles with substance use in his lifestyle. We partnered with a organization called Pawnee Mental Health. They were also being there to support, just in case some of the topics that were covered in the film were too harsh for individuals. They needed some support. They helped with us with that. The film was about 45 to 47 minutes, and then we allowed for 30 minutes afterwards for a discussion period. And I felt that that was the most impactful period of the event. A lot of teens and their parents were able to speak out about their concerns. And they were also hoping that in the future, we could have more community participation as far as community officials present at that or at our future events. So with that being said, we were able to reach out to AMC Theaters again and schedule some events for the first day film premiere again. We'll be having 2 of those film events coming up. July 25th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 will be next Tuesday. So that'll be another film event that we'll be having, as well as August 1st from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We'll also be doing a parent engagement night at the Boys and Girls Club on August 22nd from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we'll ramp up that presentations for high school students again, finishing off at Wamego High on August 28th before the end of this grant period. So next, our next thing that we're working on is the Substance Use Prevention Task Force. I'll be going in front of the intergovernmentals next week to talk about proposing this task force, just so that we can collaborate with community officials so that we're all on the same page and we can move forward to finding a solution for this in our community. So some suggestive data that we have found is that there are 0 recovery houses in the state of Kansas. So that's one of the main points that we're going to use to try to propose this task force being built in our community. We also have some other data points that suggest that we're seeing a rise in amphetamine and alcohol use in our community. It's actually higher than that of opioid abuse. So we definitely want to bring that to awareness. And also we're seeing in South Manhattan, there's a rise in synthetic marijuana usage. So definitely these are important topics that we need to cover. And that's one reason why we're trying to use the title substance use prevention as opposed to opioid prevention. We're talking about building this task force. So that's the overview of my position and the work that I've done. Thank you so much for allowing me to come share this information with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't have any questions?
No,
Okay.
no, keep doing good work. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recesses Board of Health and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners. I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Plan C at 11:45. You still need that?
Do I have more time to it?
How long do you need to speak there?
Maybe 50.
Okay.
Well, we didn't have an end date on that until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that-
You'd like to. Accept the challenge.
Oh, well, you could do it. I know that.
And talk to John Element, and they definitely will have the vehicle down there
Okay,
Monday morning, the
awesome.
expedition. I'm assuming I need to find out whether the board wants to, I know you're gonna be in intergovernment, you wanna come back here first.
I'm gonna go home and change.
That's what I'm thinking.
Going out in the.
No, that's why I kind of assume people would want to come back here from that, change and then go.
I'm going home and changing.
You can go wherever you want. I'm not trying to tell you where to go. I'm just saying, should we leave from here?
Yeah.
Would make sense to me.
Fine.
And we'll pick you up, yes.
I'll hitchhike.
Those of us
away.
with special ability to be picked up on the way. That we can do.
Do we have a driver?
Yeah. Me,
Well, you know where you're going, so. Doesn't make sense.
sort of, kind of. No, I always go up beforehand, to make sure that
Access is there.
we're gonna be, yeah. Or whether we're gonna be. Trying to see it from there. Don't think that's the case, given how far in this.
Do I need to bring binoculars?
We can even,
You stand on top of the building, you can see, that's good. Close enough.
you think I can defend that later on? That's okay. Give it a try. You know,
Both parties are supposed to be there,
I'm sorry,
both parties.
last I knew. I know the applicant will be.
Can we change over the weekend and go to Alaska?
You could always go. It's,
I mean, for this. I'm
oh,
not-
for that, probably a little bit of a reach. I don't think it's that big a fence.
We need an out-of-state traveler, yes.
But Alaska technically isn't part of the contiguous United States, so it just kind of feels true. Anything that.
You bet.
So we're good.
Shows that's kind of independent with a straight face.
Yeah.
No.
That's not the question that was asked.
We paid you to defend this thing, right? If it makes sense or not.
So it's-
Yeah, PM, not AM.
Okay. I mean, you want to shorten it up? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do,
Yeah.
we do.
11:45.
Move that the county commission, including Chairwoman Foki, Vice Chairman Ford, Commissioner McKinley, recess to executive session, potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Shelley Woodard, Deputy County Counselor, and Clancy Bowman, County Counselor, attorneys for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. And the open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 12 p.m. County appraiser Anna Burson will be present during a portion of this executive session to provide factual information.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to recess into executive session until 12 p.m. All in favor?
Right. Cool. Wait, then move that the Board of County Commissioner come out of executive session.
No, second,
Been moved and seconded that the board come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also move that the record reflect no binding action was taken during the executive session.
no second.
It's been moved and seconded that no binding action was taken during the executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Nothing else.
Okay, that was our last item on our agenda. Any other discussion?
Thanks. Guess I'll make a motion that
If you can.
yeah, I was just looking at that, so we need to do that afterwards, don't we?
Yeah, you can do it. Okay, same way you usually.
Okay. That's
During the chain after, okay,
at the end of that meeting, yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
that's routine.
Okay, I'll go ahead and then make a motion that we adjourn the July 20th meeting of the Riley County Commission after this afternoon's joint city county meeting.
No second,
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the July 20th Board of County Commissioners after the joint city county meeting this afternoon. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.